Alright, Primes, today we go to have our final fight with Unicron. Yes, I know we're still missing quite a big number of our men, but we have no time to wait. Megatronus, you will lead the High Guard. On it. Solus Prime, you'll make sure Megatronus doesn't kill any of us. On it. Alpha Trion, you will stay in the cave for plot reasons. Alright. What about me, Primer? I know you're not a Prime Sentinel, but you'll be staying back to keep an eye on the computer to watch Amazon for Alchemist Prime. I'm not Alchemist, Micronus Prime and Onyx Prime. Whatever, I never get any of the fun jobs. Shut up, Sentinel. And lastly, Alchemist Prime. I got the beer for the after party. This reminds me of the time where I sacrificed my life for Rodimus Prime. Who the scrap is Rodimus? It doesn't matter. Now, let's get on to this review that I have planned today. Hey everyone, welcome back to Firestorm Reviews, and why don't you all sit down and have a nice, cool, fresh pint of Energon since we're at McAdam's Bar today for our review. Today we'll be reviewing Transformers Age of the Prime, the 13th Alchemist Prime, also known by some fans as McAdam. You know that crazy bot from Cyberverse who talked about the future? Yeah, that was that guy. And yeah, let's have a look at the box and then the figure. Alright. The box is your standard Transformers Age of the Prime box. Very nice, very lovely. Amazing art of the vehicle mode and robot mode up here. And yeah, a beautiful gold trim going there. Not much to really say. On this side we have Solus Prime, Micronus Prime, and Alchemist Prime. Which I gotta say, the toy really oversized his glasses. I don't think he'll be able to wear those. We have some boring text information. Transformers, more than meets the eye. Adventure. So he's 17 steps. But I always find these a bit misleading. And an image of his vehicle mode, image of robot mode, image of his glasses combining, something in Cybertronian. Somebody who can read Cybertronian better than me, please say what that is. Top of the box. Side of the box with another image of Alchemist Prime. Back to the front of the box. Goodbye, box. Let's move on to the figure. Alchemist Prime is a really good figure. One of my friends who had a look at him said he was the worst of the Prime so far, and I got to disagree so hard with him. He looks amazing. The small hints of gold on him, his bright olive green. I will also say, this looks better for a bulkhead figure than the Transformers Legacy bulkhead figure we got. If they sized him up, switched out his weapons, and changed his head, I would happily believe this was a new bulkhead figure and I would buy it. Yeah, his paint job is nice, a lot of little details, and if you're somebody who hates big, heavy backpacks, no backpack. And yeah, and a little look at his accessories here, his glasses, which, is he one of the few Transformers who actually needs glasses for hearing, or is it other reasons? And just like it shows on the box, you can combine them and stick him in his hands like so. And he can have the power to read from the back of the class. Wow, such a beautiful power. Yeah, let me just take those away from you for a sec so I can point something out on them. On his glasses you have his Prime symbol and what I believe might be an early variation of either the Autobot badge or the High Guard badge. Oh, and the other one I keep dropping, we have a pure empty one, which I would have said put the Unicron symbol there, but you got Unicron symbol right here. So we basically got light and darkness on each side of the glasses. And yeah, the glasses are also meant to be like daggers, arm pistol thingies, I don't know.
we're all probably just going to lead them on either his shoulders like so, or just stab them into his hands, or lead them in the combined mode. But yeah, not really. He probably has the weakest weaponry out of the primes. I say if they could have gone on with it, they should have given him these, still give him the split apart function so that he can work in vehicle mode, and give him a hammer. I don't know why, but he feels like he'll be the one prime to carry around a Hulking hammer minus Solus Prime. Actually, let me just grab Solus real quick. Alright, here's Solus. Give me that. Now goodbye, Solus. And let's give him the Forge of Souls to see how it looks in his hands. Bit tight, so I'm probably the best I'm gonna get it in hood. But yeah, it looks good in his hands. He looks perfect to wield a hammer. And yeah, now I'll just take that back and give it back to Solus. And yeah, he's definitely a very good figure. Definitely clearly deluxe class with how is like with some of his obvious transformation parts. But yeah, he's an amazing figure. Now, let's do some size comparisons. Here he is with his fellow 13 original primes. Here he is with Sentinel Prime and Optimus Prime. And by Primus, each new prime just makes me see how small they made the Sentinel Prime figure. Here he is with some of G-Axis's forces. And here he is with everyone who was in the hospital earlier, who is now out. Except for Bone Crusher. Alright, now let's move on to the last one. And lastly, here he is with Serial Designation V and Cogless Hound. Alright, let's move on to his posability. Alright, his posability is quite simple. He has a ball joint on the head. Everyone can say a ball joint is a swivel. Rotations can go 360 at his arms, can move out that far. Rotation at the upper thigh, bend at the elbow. If you want to consider this hand articulation, then yes, hand articulation. He has 360-degree waist rotation. He can kick out that far and back that far. And as our glorious Lord and Savior Johnny the Hong says, beautiful spread. Rotation at the thigh, bend at the knee. And like all figures seem to have these days, he has an amazing ankle pivot. Just look how far they can go. Oh yeah, and flaw I forgot to mention about this guy earlier is that this part tends to untab easily. But it's nothing that happens too often, see? It passes the shake test. And yeah, he has quite nice posability and all that. Now, let's move on to his transformation. First thing you're going to want to do is have all his accessories to the side. And then untap his chest plate here and fold his head in. Then close that up. Spin his waist 360 degrees and accidentally untap his arm. And then retie back in. Then you're going to want to rotate his arms up like so. Fold in his hands. And then you come down to his feet here. Untab his legs so they open up like so. And you're going to want to wait till you feel a big click. That's when the legs are fully out and open. Then you fold up his feet. Sorry about that cough, everyone. And then you close his feet together. And then you want to untab his arms here. Rotate them out like so. Here's a closer look. And then, before you do that, you might want to just double check to make sure everything's still in correct alignment. Then you take his legs, bend them down. And for some reason, my one's hands love to fold in on themselves. Because that's the next step, fold them in. Make sure everything's tabbed together. And then you just then you see this little tab here. You're going to want to try to get it into here on his legs, which can be a bit tricky sometimes. And there, got it. And then you fold up the leg panels again, and then boom, you have the back out the vehicle mode done, and then you just lift up his windshield. And then boom, you have him in vehicle mode. Alchemist Prime's vehicle mode is really nice and sturdy. He feels like he'll be bashing through Heralds of Unicron barricades and Quintesson barricades head first, while also carrying a nice supply of energon for the after party. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you untab his things like so, and just tab them up on his roof here for vehicle mode storage. Ta-da! Yeah, his nice olive green translates over very well. You get some nice pops of black or gunmetal grey. His gold kneecaps become like some vent areas on the vehicle mode. And I'll be honest, I just feel like when he's driving, he would pop... his back area here would pop open and have a minigun pop out and go... like in Halo. Like a Halo Warthog minigun at the back there. So yeah, he has a nice vehicle mode. Of course, just robot on the underside. But it's very clean. And he also rolls really nice. Which a lot of figures nowadays actually seem to roll very nicely if they have wheels at all. And yeah, let's move on to his size comparisons in vehicle mode. Alright, here we have him next to my 13 primes in their vehicle modes. Here he is next to Sentinel Prime and Optimus Prime. Here he is next to some of G-Axis's forces. And here he is next to the rest of G-Axis's forces that aren't in the hospital. And Scavenger, who I accidentally switched around with Bone Crusher. Now onto the last thing of the size comparisons. And lastly, here they are compared to V and Cogless Hound. Now, let's move on to the posability, because I just realized I forgot to show off his posability. Here's our first pose, him handing out energon drinks at his bar. Here he is beating the shit out of a Herald of Unicron. Here he is doing a T-pose. Here he is doing his most famous pose from Transformers 1, being dead. And lastly, here he is doing a superhero landing. Now, let's move on to my final thoughts of the figure. So, my final thoughts on Alchemist Prime. He's amazing, a definitely great figure, deserving of all the praise he's getting and all that. And I gotta say, yes, he's taken Solus's Prime as the best Transformers Deluxe class Prime. He has superior paint job, better posability and all that. The only thing that she has over him still is the fact that I like Solus Prime more than him. And sure, he probably has the worst weapons out of any of the Primes, but to be honest, is anyone going to keep these like these? And yes, I can see you in the comments, Jimothy, saying that, oh, I'm going to keep them in the knife mode because I like the knife mode. I can tell you're lying. And yeah, he's definitely a great figure. If you see one of them, definitely pick him up right away. And even if you're not collecting the Primes, he'll still make a great figure. And even let's say you like Transformers Cyberverse, you technically need him if you want to make a character, if you want some of your favorite characters, because I know McAdam was one of the most popular characters in the show. So yeah, that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. And please send help. Jackson still has me hostage. What did you say? Nothing.